Good evening, Monadnock Region, and welcome back to Go Mo Tonight, the Monadnock Region's only locally focused weekly comedy podcast. I am here as your captain in the Space Lounge, Christy Loretto, with my lovely co-host,
Zoe Roten-Heinsman.
And this week, we have, yet again, our second full-length guest host, R.I.P. Sam, also hailing from the great Garden State. We have the one and only inimitable Jared Radke. Welcome, Jared.
Hey, thank you so much. Really glad to be here. Appreciate the warm welcome.
Yeah, happy to have you. Jared, most of you know this, but there's probably a few of you listeners out there who are not familiar with our work at Monadnock Underground, which is our creative writing side of our media enterprise. And when we got started back in 2019, somewhere along the way in those first months, Jared was one of our first writers, and has stayed with us consistently this entire time. And I have to ask Jared, because I'm sure that I knew this story once upon a time, but how the hell, Jared was living in like Philly or, outside of Philly somewhere at the time. How did you find us?
It's a sponsored Google ad. I decided to pick up submitting writing again. And you guys happened to be right there. I was living in South Philly, and the ad actually was on the internet. It wasn't on a poll or anything. And I just submitted, and surprisingly, you accepted what I wrote and you decided to publish it. And I figured that was, that was probably it. The green light went off. I said, oh, wow. I sent it and they said, yeah. And then I kept that going. Going. And then, I've sent stuff to other people, over the years. And sometimes they said, yeah. And sometimes they said, you're a pervert. And I'm just like, so I'll send it to you guys instead. Or sometimes, the submissions will be like, this better not have been previously published. And then I'll send them something that you guys published. And I say, oh, it wasn't. And then they publish it.
Nice.
And then, and then we do that, But, I'd like to, I really like what you guys got going on. I really think it's an intriguing. I thought it was a fictional place, to be honest, based off of.
Seems that way sometimes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you folks were like in a cult or you were like really religious. But either way, it doesn't really matter, does it? At the end of the day, because here we are.
Well,
fucking White Owl.
First piece you sent, Rick Derringer and Grandma, I remember Chris was like, I don't know about this one. What do you think? Like, I can't tell. And I was like, I love this.
Well, yeah, because
it's so weird. I love it.
So I read it, right? And yeah, I remember this very clearly. So I read it and I was like, this could be really good, but it's really weird. And I don't know if it is, and that's why I was like, Zoe, I need a second set of eyes on this, man. Like this is not like anything else I've seen. And, because Jared is a very unique writer in the both in content and style. He it's constantly a surprising reading his pieces, because you often find yourself in the head of a narrator and you get pulled right in, but you truly don't know what's going to be said in the next paragraph. Like in what you're just going to get hit with, like out of nowhere. And it's brilliant and well constructed. And it always leaves you like a little dazed, like,
I really appreciate that commentary. That's really nice of you. I mean, just hearing anybody speak about anything that you've done shows that they've read, and that's great. It's like, oh my God, it's really nice, and I appreciate the encouragement. I will tell you though that Rick Derringer's story, that was really based off of. I had just been really swimming through Wikipedia heavy lately, and articles were leading into one and another. And my friends and I, you ever play 5 Clicks to Hitler on Wikipedia?
I never have, but I've been I spent years doing Wikipedia rabbit holes for every day.
Right. Yeah. I like to dump somebody on like Rutabaga or like Bermuda and be like, find your way to Hitler, 5 clicks, go. You know?
That's a cool game.
Yeah.
Right. So I was just kind of in that zoom in mode, and I was in a really like pre-spiritual place where like I was not doing well and things were kind of like hitting some type of crescendo, and like things just started getting weird and psychedelic and just kind of matching up, and like all these Wikipedia pages were ending up real circular and real common themes. And like,
that's happened to me before too. Yeah, definitely. Like Wikipedia can be an oracle sometimes. Yeah, for sure.
I assumed I was losing my fucking brain, you know?
Yeah.
And all signs were pointing to Rick Derringer. And the second I saw that he made the late 80s, mid 80s, you know, Hulk Hogan WrestleMania themed album, and he composed, you know, the Hulk Hogan Real American theme song, I was just like, this is just too much. I'm going to write a thing, but like, I don't know what I'm going to write. Like, cause I always have these ideas. I'm like, well, I'm going to have it like it's going to be like a pastiche of like a Mental Floss article, like top 10 Rick Derringer things that are Rick Derringer. But like, they never work out that way. I'm not able to write anything except exactly what I write. And it's really frustrating.
You do it very well though, you know, you do it very well. And it's distinct too, you know, like you're not taking anybody else's shtick. Like this is a Radke piece is a Radke piece. And that's one thing that I've loved about the fact that you've submitted in like every time block we've had, even before we were doing seasons, so that it's like always periodically in the middle of a bunch of things, we can be like, and now we have our Radke piece.
I appreciate it. I would like to. Sometimes I have these lofty ideas and it gets burned into this like little fever push out of what I do. And like, I have these elaborate ideas with actual dialogue and third person narration. And I have these ideas in the morning when I'm driving, and like, they're gone. Like I can't, they get really condensed. Like, you know, it's tough. It's very difficult.
You know what you should do? Cause this is easier, is just record them as voice memos on your phone. Like, cause you're driving, you know what I mean? Just like hit the button and be like, you know, as if you're in Mad Men dictating to your secretary, you know what I mean? Like, just be like, idea, you know, like, and just rattle it all off. Cause then
it's the dialogue itself that I really need to capture. Cause like the conversations I have in my, you know, in my day, my sales job, and the nutty fucking characters I run into, I'm like, these are the conversations I need to transcribe. But for me, I've never learned how to traditionally write dialogue, and I don't know how to structure it. I don't know how to space it. I don't know how it's supposed to physically look on the page. I look at examples that I like on my bookshelf, but it just seems hard to phrase it. Like, am I supposed to skip lines every time the person I just don't know how to structure it right.
Yeah, don't get hung up on that. Get the words out. I can help you with that.
Yeah, no, we can do that.
The way things look physically on a page changes how I feel. Like I get sick. Like it has to be spread.
I know the feeling. Yeah. But we do take submissions sometimes though from people who have a hard time with that same exact thing. And you know, if the quality of the overall piece is there, we never mind editing for that. You know, like it's, you know.
Well, I never really thought of, you know, I think of editing as its kind of own thing. Like Zoe drastically chopped up that fucking Lithuanian story that I wrote, and she improved it 40% because it was kind of dead and it kind of had some ideas, and just like, it's kind of like, it's collage, it's graphic design in its own type of thing. You know what I mean? It's, I enjoy that. It's like, let somebody write something complete and then a different set of eyes do a little William Burroughs rearrangement, and it's totally something fucking different. I can appreciate that. And it needed that. Sometimes it needs the little, you need to neuter the cat.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then this piece that's coming out like probably today, whatever day we release this.
Yeah.
That one, I think I just said before.
So today's the future. This conversation.
We usually announce to everyone, and I haven't done it yet so far this episode, but today we are recording on Thursday, 11/17. This episode is likely to come out. Hey, what's up, Rachel?
Hey!
So Rachel, everybody, Rachel is also a Monadnock Underground writer, and she does not have any problem with dialogue whatsoever. And she has, I think, in the last like 3 seasons, maybe, in each one has had a piece that is a part of a bigger thing that she's working on that we are begging her to do more of and send us more of because it's brilliant and we want to publish it as a whole thing.
She's the winner of the like what story we want. How do we phrase it? Like
I forget. I always forget the names of her own awards.
Yeah, I want to hear a novel of it. Whatever. She's working on it. What do you got? Like 60 pages?
I think closer to probably like 40. But
40. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, even just what we've published is like we've at least 15 of those pages, right? I mean,
I think something like that. Jared really wanted me that because when I first started writing that first sort of vignette, so to speak, of the like married to a cult leader, as you guys published it, that was the first thing I wrote and then it kind of blossomed into its whole own thing. But Jared really wanted me to keep that as its own. He wanted me to keep it as an isolated,
like a precursor story, like
oh, I see. And like the real story is related but separate. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
I liked it as a standalone thing, and I thought it kind of was self-encapsulating. It kind of had a beginning and enough of like a little twist ending. I thought it was better than what I write, and I really didn't like that. I'm going to be honest. I really. It's just one of those things where like, if she gets published or something, they say this is great, and like she stays with me, and I can go off of that, and we can move to Hawaii. But if she leaves me and they accept her, I'm gonna
filled with rage.
Uncontrollable rage. And I'm gonna be left alone with you folks and my twisted little writing. My dirty little Mickey Spillane shit. And she's gonna be on the bigger and better things.
We saw it.
All right, get out of here.
Maybe she won't leave you though, you know?
I think I'm sticking around.
Yeah, I got a nice haircut.
Nice to see you, Rachel.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I was saying, what were we saying? We're saying what day this episode is going to come out?
Oh yeah, this episode. That's right. Most likely, this episode will come out as the day before Thanksgiving because this is our special Thanksgiving episode.
And what I was saying about that was that the Radke piece that will come out that day, I think
for the fall 2022 season,
added a hyphen. So
yeah.
Didn't chop that
not a lot of chopping and burrowing needed for this one. Yeah.
But before we move to like news topics or whatever, I also want to shout out that Jared is the only one of our writers that's ever received a complaint.
Yeah, I was going to mention that as well.
I mean, I get complaints on a daily basis, like in every aspect of my life. So
it wasn't a good complaint. I didn't think it was legitimate. Like, yeah, it was like because of something that was obscene in your.
Of course, vulgarity is important.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I mean, and we have never shied away from publishing. Like, you are not the most vulgar thing that we've. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that we try to do that, but we aren't afraid of that, right? But her tone, correct me if I'm wrong, was more like, are you guys okay to be parents of children and also publish things like this? Like, wasn't that
too hypothetical? Because how do I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm a parent of a child. Yeah.
I don't use Radke stories as like the bedtime story. You know what I mean? Like that would be inappropriate. Like I know what to not to expose my children to. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. My daughter is 16 years old, and I'm trying to think about how to expose her to a different level of literature. And I'm like, well, what's appropriate, what's not? And I find myself like, like a fucking nerd. I'm like, I don't want to give her that because that book, there's a lot of fucking, there's a lot of fucking in that book. I don't want my daughter to read that. Like, I get all pearl clutch about that. And it's weird because it's like, it's very hypocritical.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's legit.
I never thought that I would censor reading material from my kids. And then now that they can read, I'm like, oh, going to move some things up to a higher shelf, you know? Like I don't there's things I don't want them to read.
This yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking on the shelf back there. I'm always thinking about, like, what do I want to send her home with? And I'm like, well, you should, step up to this, like, no more Fantastic Beast bullshit. Like, let's, give you something good.
16's a good age, though,
I mean, when I was 11, Stephen King was doing his second act. He released a Richard Bachman book, and there were some really horrible books from like the mid 90s. And I ended up reading like every single thing he ever read from like at that point.
Okay.
And he was, he got really he strayed away from horror in a lot of his books and just has all this really weird, isolated, like sexual abuse stuff in every single one of his books. And I always remember being like, and I just can't help but think about like my daughter in that same position, reading that same stuff. Like, it's so awkward. Everything is fucking awkward. Being a parent ruins everything for you.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. That's interesting. And like, I guess, because I'm trying to think like, all right, let's imagine if I was able to resist some of the hypocrisy, right? And like not, and be less of a censor, right? I still think I would be less comfortable with like what you just described with like Stephen King sexual abuse stuff, than I would other things that have sex in it, even if it's not necessarily a great portrait of sex, because I mean, like I just remember myself, right. And like reading certain things that like, had sexual content in it. And even at like, 14, 15, 16, not too young though. No, like, it was appropriate age for me to start reading things like that. And, it's not a straight line where you like read that and you're like, I'm going to do it or I'm going to think about that. Like, there's a lot of things that I read that like, I wasn't sure if I liked or that, you know what I mean? And like, it's a good age to start asking those questions of yourself, you know what I mean? And like wrestling with it. And I mean, that's how you figure out what you do think and what you do, So yeah, I think it's weird. It's hard to find that line though, right? Because but at the end of the day though, right? It's also probably hard to find challenging literature that you want someone who's going to be a young adult to be exposed to without any of that in it.
And you don't want to give somebody literature designated as young adult literature.
No, you don't.
That's a mistake because you're stunted if you write that stuff. Something's wrong with you. Like you question why a man dates a teenager. You know what I mean? No one's that cool. Like, okay, he has a Camaro. Like he's a fucking predator. Like there's a reason you write YA literature, and people might say, oh, it's its own art. It's even more challenging in a way. It's like, no, it's not. I can make a fucking coloring book. Like whatever. Like bullshit.
Yeah, right.
Bullshit. YA literature sucks.
I'm with you. I am completely.
Is The Little Prince young adult literature? Yes. No, it's not young adult literature. It's a legitimate book, and it's the greatest book that a kid could read, possibly. You know what I mean? To Kill a Mockingbird is not young adult literature. It's one of the greatest literary achievements in the world.
There's kind of a specific thing that is YA literature. And it's not necessarily everything that's written for a young adult or that a young adult commonly reads. And I definitely agree with you. But yeah, I mean, once you're like a teen though, I mean, you want to, I don't know, you got to be exposed to some good 20th century adult shit.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have any intelligence at all, you really want to rebel against something that's packaged, designed for you. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, here's a book for you, and
yes, exactly. You shouldn't read the book that is just for you. Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Who do you think I am?
Yeah, 20th century American literature is what a teenager should read to like be like, oh, holy shit, people can think that, or like, and people do that, and people write about that. Like it's eye opening. I mean, like I think about like Kurt Vonnegut, who I first read at like 14 or 15, Catch-22.
Yes.
Joseph Heller.
It's really difficult to write something comedic, especially to write something comedic that has me enjoy it. I am the meanest person in the world. Oh, yeah. I hate fucking everything.
Yeah.
Catch-22 is hilarious. The only thing funnier than Catch-22 is Confederacy of Dunces.
Oh, that's so funny. I haven't been able to read that book.
It's
I
so
never
laugh out loud funny. It's fucking absurd.
I've made it like a third through it, like multiple times, and I get stopped.
The narration of Ignatius and just his kind of like this like pompous, semi-autistic world. It's so nuts.
Well,
like it made me literally stop and laugh like a bunch, and that was an achievement for me. I was like, wow, like hard to be funny.
Yeah. I definitely laughed out loud reading Catch-22.
Oh my God, yeah, just so clever.
Mm-hmm. But also so like depressing and moving and like
Gallows humor, yeah.
I mean, like he does a really great job with that book, especially since it's told out of order. You know what I mean? So it's like the book has it absolutely has an arc, but it doesn't exactly correspond with time. But like the last third of that book, after you've been going through it and you've been like mildly amused, even by the danger and the death and some of the depressing stuff, you've been pretty amused this whole time. And then in the last third, he just like clumps it down on your head, you know, and you're like,
Full Metal Jacket style, yeah.
Yes, like, and you know, and it's amazing, and it's eye opening, and you know, and the language that's used. I mean, and that's a book that, like, yeah, it contains a lot of like prostitute sex.
Right,
and,
I was just gonna say that. It really
nurses and stuff, like, you know,
didn't make me romanticize, you know, being a soldier.
No,
I wasn't into that, but it really made me think it was cool to hang around wartime Rome in like a prostitute den with the boys. Like
that part did sound cool. Yes,
like that seemed cool. Like it seemed like it was like a cool thing.
Yeah, well, that was the funny thing, right? Was because the defeated Italians who had nothing more to fight for and like nothing else to do actually did seem to have absolutely the best time out of everybody.
That's kind of like a parable for you publishing my work. Are you a defeated Italian who has nothing but bacchanalian pleasures to go ahead and publish in the last days of the empire? Are you waiting for your Mussolini figure to come wipe you out as like some type of like Salo lord of the state?
Yes. Well, America does occupy New Hampshire, just like occupied Italy in Catch-22. And, you know, we're waiting for them to leave. And, you know, and so that we can go back to our traditional way of life.
You want to go back to Plymouth.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's good stuff. Yeah, but you're right. It's hard. It's hard to find what, but yeah, I mean, Vonnegut's a good one.
You have some nice dramatic pauses with your camera. I noticed this in previous podcasts. You do have a good freezing situation, and yours does stops at like really opportune times. You're like,
I didn't even see you freeze just now.
Maybe it's my the buffering on my end here. I am next to the beach in Atlantic City in a hole of time and space.
Yeah, tell us about Atlantic City a little bit. Tell our audience. Probably not a lot of. My only experience with Atlantic City was 2 nights spent there in 2008 for a very, very good bachelor party.
2008 was a good year. You've probably seen the best.
I did. It was nice. I honestly thought it was. I mean, we went to some seedy places. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I thought it was nice. We had a good time. The casino.
2008 was when they discovered all the hookers' bodies at Maloney's Uptown. The hooker serial killer killed 9 of them over the span of a year and stuffed their bodies in the attic of a place, Maloney's Uptown, where my friend's band Tsunami Rising used to play punk shows. 2008 was cool. Atlantic City is it's a fallen city. It's the only place I could live on the beach and afford it. I left South Philly to come down here. I wanted to be by the beach, wanted to be by the ocean, wanted to be able to surf on a daily basis.
As you can see.
Exactly.
So I can appreciate that urge for sure.
It's just that it's just there's a lot of property crime. It's not like Philly where there's just a lot of like. There's not as much violence and guns and stuff, but there is. But it's just a couple street. It's fucking wild around here. It's really wild around here. It's I kind of like being around the chaos a little bit. It's kind of like a step down from where, and I can't commit myself to the suburbs just yet. Yeah,
well, but they took your car, or Rachel's car, right?
Rachel's car. We had it for 24 hours. So
new car.
Yeah,
I'm happy. crappy.
It had name tags on it.
They took it.
They did right in front of my house while I was grilling in the backyard.
Outside, you know?
I missed it. And that's why I wanted the crossbow.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I totally hear you. In New Hampshire, I will just say, I know you're not ready for this kind of life, but you could have a crossbow or a gun or most weapons that you want, you can have here.
That's a major, it's a strong consideration.
And it's like, none of us like lock our cars or anything. And like, like the way my house is structured, right? Like my driveway is actually like the least visible from inside the house, in terms of like the most blind spots, So it would be like really easy for someone to just jack my car if they wanted to, But like, first of all, it's like rural, and of course there's just less of that activity in general, but like there's some, not 100%, but there is some credence to the gun people who make the point that we do have very low crime, and people really do consider the fact that when they go on anyone else's property that person might be armed. Like that's a real thing to consider.
It's a true
like when I see no trespassing signs, I do mostly listen to them not because they'll shoot, but I don't even want to be threatened with a gun. And that happens, like
it's changed my behavior on the road because there's been so many gun incidents in Philadelphia and New Jersey about road rage incidents lately where they're completely strangers just shooting at each other because of words exchanged and shit. And it's made me totally change my road rage ways because you never know who the fuck, because I get really bold with it. Like I'll pursue somebody in the car for a couple blocks. I'll them. I do all kinds of goofy shit. Like you're in a, and then you see make eye contact and some old Asian lady. You're like, no, like what am I talking about? But you never know when that person's going to shoot you.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's very true. Yeah, I used to be like that when I was young and more hot-headed, but like over time I calmed down.
I've gotten meaner as I got older.
Have you really?
Yeah,
I have calmed down. I will still yell and I'll flip the bird and I'll stare at somebody through my mirror if I don't like what they're doing. But
I let myself take it personally, like, so you would kill me, like you don't mind jeopardizing my life.
Yes, no, and that is I still feel that way.
Weird, excuse to.
Yeah. It's a personal affront, and you can't let it be unanswered, right?
It really is.
I know the feeling. See, this is why I'm at home when I'm in New Jersey, I just, I'm.
It's fucked.
They do temper you up here, though. You do eventually get worn down and you chill out a little bit, which is mostly good, I think, The road rage didn't do me any favors at any point in time, I don't think.
No, it doesn't serve you. If it doesn't serve you, what's the point, right?
Exactly.
You got to cut those things out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had some even, back in 2008, we didn't suffer any crimes, fortunately, but we did one thing that like none of us knew, which is hilarious. I didn't plan the bachelor party, even though I was the best man of the wedding, but I didn't plan the party. But we didn't know New Jersey's nudity rules, right? Where you can't, and this is actually, I asked, my buddies about this. I'm like, what the hell? Like, it's an anachronism in The Sopranos. It's a major anachronism, in fact, because in New Jersey, and then I don't know if it's changed since then.
About strip clubs with alcohol?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't have alcohol and be fully nude. Yeah.
No body parts in the same place. So if you want to have a real strip club where people get naked, it's BYOB. And like there's like a cover charge.
Otherwise, it's a go-go bar or it's topless bar. There's a lot of these half strip clubs. Not a lot. There's a number of them. There was one across the street from my high school in Gloucester Catholic in Gloucester City called Billy's Place. And a lot of when the girls would graduate, they would go and work there. It was a topless only bar. So it was basically like you're not getting the strip club, you're not getting a lap dance, you're not doing all the strip club stuff. You're just getting served beer by a woman who's not wearing a shirt, which is more sad than going to a strip club in a way.
Well, it was sad. But we ended up in a place where there was a back room, but like we ended up in this place because we're like walking down the street and like this dude like comes out of an alley with cards and he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You guys look like you're."
I give you cards to bear exposures.
That was what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll do that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you know. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
we went there, and that was a little bit of a sad place.
They're all sad places.
Yeah.
Not for me. Not my thing.
No, it's that's the thing, is it's never been my thing. Actually, so this is the funny thing, is that I've never been a strip club guy at all.
No.
And we went the next night. We went to like the real strip club place, where it was BYOB and stuff, right? And I had well past the statute of limitations here. I had like one, maybe me and one of the 12 had like a good strong hit of ecstasy that we took that night, right? And so we went to this strip club, right? And so we're in this place, and like this place was weird too, and so I'm very high. I'm rolling quite a bit, and I'm just like, wow, this is remarkable. I'm at this place, and they charged me like, I don't remember if it was $20 or $40, right? But they like take your phone, and they like take they take all your shit, right? And I'm like, I just paid these people, and then I got to pay them extra money to like steal my stuff from me so that I can go into this place that I don't really even want to go into. And then I found this hilarious. I was like, wow, what a world, right? And this is Atlantic City, because that was my joke the whole time. I was doing multiple like hallucinogens on different days. And so the first day we had taken LSD, and I was coming up in the casino, and like I walked up to some kind of, it wasn't straight video poker, but it was just like a video machine. And like I put like $5 in, and
it was the ATM.
Yeah, right. And I was like, button, and they were like, you lose. And I was like, wow. I was like, they have machines that just take money, and like that's what this place is, And so this was continued as I go into this strip club place where I'm like, wow, they really do. They invent all kinds of new ways to take money from you here in Atlantic City. What a fun place. And so we're in the place, and like I just didn't care at all about the naked people, right? But what was fascinating to me was the walls were all mirrors, and like the bass line of the music. And so I was just sitting there grinning, like looking at myself, like refracted in like 8 different mirrors across the place, as like lights were like beaming around and all this stuff. And like, people are like doing lap dances and like weird stuff that they did in this place. It was very bizarre, and I didn't find it arousing at all, but the mirrors and the music and the lights were fascinating.
Yeah, that's that Atlantic City effect, man.
It was sad.
That's the Atlantic City effect. That 3 to 6 a.m. low energy, yet the automation around you is going strong, and there's the little Chinese people eating breakfast, yet there's the people from the night before. It's very strange, and it's not like
we definitely went all night.
It's not like that like mid '90s like Vegas in like a pink boa, like what happens here stays here. No, it's like it's very sinister. It's the Red Room. It's the backward talking dwarf. It's all of that.
All of that, and that is kind of what I liked about it,
And I have never been. I mean, I don't do drugs at all now, but I had never been a fan of cocaine. I love to do the opposite. However, anytime I was in Atlantic City after like the 15th beer, I was always finally broken down, and someone's like, just do the line with us. And then it would just instantly sober me up, and I'd be in Atlantic City like 4 a.m. feeling instantly hungover and horrible. And my friends are like,
you're jittery. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like fighting with some like Staten Island dudes, and like I'm getting pulled into it, and it's like it's crazy. And that's the Atlantic City I have nothing to do with. We haven't been to the casinos once since we've lived here, besides to go to the Lucky Snake arcade and the Showboat, the East Coast's largest indoor arcade. Not a casino game in sight.
Yeah.
Go-karts, world's largest Pac-Man, nerdy shit. The casinos are like a separate world. I haven't been
to a casino in like, I think 10 years or so.
I know people who I've been locked up with, I've been in places with, whatever, who are professionals in the casino, not gamblers, but like they make a second, that's their whole life, is like checking machines for like people's, cards that they left, or grifting off people. Like I know people who steal from the outlets, the Atlantic City outlets, like professionally. Like Atlantic City has a gig economy based off of like different levels of grift down. And I just suffered from the third level down the other day. They took my car. That's how that goes.
Yeah, they took the
Someone
car.
lost in the casino. They won a Subaru. Congratulations, you're a lesbian. It's just like that.
Yeah. Wow. That's an interesting dynamic. That is a
went in the casino. A person who wanted to win money. They came out with an Outback, and now they are a woman who likes women.
That happens sometimes. It happens up here all the time. They just don't. I don't know how many of them get it in a casino, but you know,
that's a lot of speculation on my part. But I don't mean to get back into the car. You know, nobody knows about my car. It's a very specific conversation. It's
all right. It's a raw thing, I think, as is understandable. But yeah, a lot of adventure to be had. But yeah, I mean, if you're living there, like, it's kind of a mistake to make it a habit to go to casinos. You know, I mean, casinos to me, like, casinos are fun. Like, if you have a bunch of extra money, like, to lose, you know, that, like, you can afford to lose it, right? And you're going with a bunch of friends, and you're just, because gambling can be fun, you know, as long as you don't need to win, and as long as you are not losing money that you shouldn't lose, you know. And when I was younger, I mean, I had no self-control, so like I was always going to the ATM, you know. I mean, now I would not have that temptation, honestly. I don't, like I said, that's why I don't go to casinos. I don't not go to casinos because I could get in trouble there. I just have little interest.
Do you have casinos? Do you have legalized gambling in New Hampshire?
No. Well, I mean, so we could get to one in like a couple hours, you know, but I mean, the closest is like Foxwoods in Mohegan, you know, or no, I shouldn't say that. No, it's legal in Mass now. So we can go to Springfield. We can go to Boston. I forget that now. I've never done it. I haven't gone to
sports gambling legal in New Hampshire. Can you do DraftKings on your phone, or are you blocked by location?
I want to say they just legalized that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think DraftKings was blocked for a while, but I don't.
Yeah, I forget about that, and I'll be in a different state and going to go place a bet or something on a fight, and then I'll be like, oh shit, I'm not home.
Yeah, I think it's been legal for a while, and New York just legalized it, and like all this stuff.
Right.
What was crazy to me was I saw a buddy of mine who lives in LA post the other day, like a happy post about how like California defeated legalized sports gambling. And it was like, it wasn't even a close margin. And I just like, I commented on it and I was like, dude, that's really, I mean, on the East Coast, like you can't really even find anybody who strongly opposes sports gambling, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it is, what the pushback is.
It's just it's old anti-gambling arguments. Like,
it's not like an integrity of sports thing, is it?
Not usually, I don't think. It's usually,
say, why the fuck would California vote?
I think exactly. No, I think it's more like we can't let these poor people have this vice because they can't control themselves.
Oh, like we can't have discount cigarettes.
Exactly.
We can't let cartoon characters sell them to kids anymore.
Yeah. Well, the West Coast
we can't give them out in cereal. We can't make them mandatory in kindergarten anymore.
And the West Coast has always been more in favor of those things than the East Coast. Although sometimes New York is like that too, and they're embracing the sports gambling.
Listen, smoking's good, gambling's good. That's why you can't do it too much. That's why it's the point. It's good. It's fun.
I agree.
And it's up to you at your own detriment to either fall down the hole or not.
That's right. It's up to you. Yeah, exactly.
For any of the kids listening, smoking cigarettes are not good.
We this actually comes up often on the show because I
don't smoke cigarettes. I don't.
I accidentally will endorse smoking all the time. I quit. I don't smoke anymore. But they're great. But they're. I won't deny that cigarettes are awesome.
I smoke Newports. What did you smoke?
So before I quit, like the first time, because now they're even harder to find. But Camel Reds, you ever see those? Camel with a K. Camel Reds for years and years. And in fact, what happened was because they are a harsh smoke, and when I quit the first time, and then a couple of the outlets that used to sell them by me stopped because I was probably the only customer, and when I would try to go, like, so I would buy, like, either just Camel filters or even American Spirits.
Ugh.
And then I would grab a pack of Camel Red somewhere, and I lost the ability. I couldn't do it anymore. They were too much, too harsh.
Oof. Now, what about you, Zoe? Not never a smoker, right? Can I assume that?
I'll smoke like a cigarette or two a year.
Annual. Sure.
That's good. That's good to do.
I like them. I think
that's healthy.
So I decided not to ever make it a habit. Just
Yeah, smart. Very smart. Yeah.
It's very impressive.
Very smart.
Definitely. Now, if you were to smoke, what would you smoke? What would your brand be?
Well, what I have in my house are what are they? They're like the
Djarum Blacks.
Djarum Black.
Djarum Blacks.
The real ones. Like I had to order them from like Indonesia or something.
Indonesian cloves, of course.
Yeah. I just wanted that like high school nostalgia thing. So,
interesting. I like it.
That's what I have.
I actually got started smoking cloves back in the day, and that's the reason, of course, that they banned them. Is because kids would do that. Yeah, exactly, because of me. But I mean, that's the thing, though, is that, like, I don't know. I would have done the regular butts anyways.
My first cigarette, I was pumping gas at the mobile gas station that my neighbor owned, my father's friend. Yeah. And I was 14, and I was pumping gas with the older guys, and I was like, "Let me get a cigarette," and they're like, "Get your own pack." We work here, cigarettes, and I was like, well, what type of cigarette smoker am I? My first pack of cigarettes, and they were like, "Well, you look like."
Right.
You look like a Camel Wide man. And they pushed me into are you familiar with Camel Wides?
Oh yeah.
Like a fucking
big fat motherfuckers. Yeah, I used to smoke those in college.
Yeah, I was about 95 pounds, like 4'11", and I was like, I took a huge drag, and I was like, and I smoked that whole pack of Camel Wides, and then I went right to Newports. Never looked back.
When I was first in college, like maybe that first like semester or two, we were almost none of us were like 100% brand loyal. And so I would like get paid for my job, right? And I would go to the store 24, and I would literally be like, I'm going to decide based on the marketing, based on all the cigarette signs that are up on the top.
That's really entertaining for a clerk too. Like, especially like a jaded middle-aged clerk, and they're like, "Hey, my good man, which cigarettes are good today?" You're like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, right.
Like, get out of here.
I would go in there and I would
don't buy any of them. Just go home.
Would see what struck me, right? I would be like, I remember one time being like, all right, I see Marlboro with like 3 horses. Like, am I feeling in like home on the range kind of mood?
This is then I would exactly see, like, how I buy wine, just for the record.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, wine labels are a lot more interesting than cigarette labels.
It would be like Parliament Lights, right? And it would be like this like marble building with like in Greece somewhere with like a party on the Mediterranean, right? And I'd be like, ooh, or am I feeling like that? The
Virginia Slim marketing is like an old lady at a cafeteria.
Yeah, absolutely.
Grandma.
It's like an over manicured hand. With a little cigarette coming out of it.
I do feel like that today, actually.
Yeah, right. Sometimes you do.
Exactly. Yeah, do you remember the late '90s Camel short? There was like a campaign of cigarettes that came in a tin, and they had different flavors. There was like Midnight Madness.
Oh, I kind of do remember that. Yeah,
Turkish something, or they had these like flavors. Yeah. And they came in a tin, and you could like slide them, and they made you feel like an old timey hooker or something with like a cigarette case.
I never got to enjoy any of those, but yes, I remember that campaign.
Yeah. I mean,
so my first boyfriend, who was a Newport man himself.
He's dead now. Then great.
No, I don't know what he smokes now. I just haven't talked to him in like 20 years. That's all.
Talks like this. Sorry, go ahead.
He liked those like cases so much that he bought a case. Like he's like, I need a cigarette case now.
That's pretty. It's a pretty nice thing to have.
I mean, cigarette holder, cigarette case.
See, cigarette holder. I'm often enticed by that idea.
You would look great with a cigarette holder.
Yeah.
Where do you get these things?
I used to. I've had multiple cigarette holders actually. I used to smoke one with one in college. I'll show it to you when you're over here. There's a picture on my wall of me with a cigarette in a holder.
I think you can go to your local French supply store.
Yeah.
Berets and cigarette holders.
I don't know if we have those here. We can't even get like good French bread here.
Yeah, I don't have much of a French population here, to be honest. The Normans didn't make it this far.
No. But you don't need French bread down there, though. See, here's the point, though, dude.
We have all the bread.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Is that down there? Like you have like bakeries and delis, like where people like know what they're doing, and
that's why
like,
you can't open a cheesesteak spot in Florida. People are like, we'll just we'll move from South Philly and we'll go down here to Naples, Florida, and we'll blow the people's mind. The bread fucking sucks. It's something about the water. That's the big rumor. They're always like, My mom's in Florida. She's like, I can't get a good hoagie. We say hoagie. We don't say sub or whatever. Mm-hmm. What do you call a sandwich?
I call it a sub.
Sub.
Some people around here say grinder.
So my understanding is a grinder is a hot sandwich, like a chicken parm.
I never called it that, but that is what some people say.
I mean, you guys don't have good cheesesteaks up there, I'm sure.
No, I mean, but let me ask you this: like, the proper cheesesteak in Philly has what's the cheese? Is it like Cheese Whiz or something? Is that correct?
That's like the standard because you order by cheese. You either say you say American wit. Cheese with, cheese without, with or without onions. That nacho cheese, I mean, that shit fucks me up. I do American with.
That's what I get when I get a steak and cheese.
Ketchup, just a little ketchup.
Mm-hmm.
Fried onion. Yeah, I said that, baby.
Yeah. No, but it's nothing. It's not, we can get crappy shaved beef with American cheese.
What's the New Hampshire signature sandwich?
It's New Hampshire's New Hampshire's a little bit like England. You know what I mean? Like we're not known for our food. And
lobster roll. That's that could be the New Hampshire sandwich.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just by virtue of being in New England. You know what I mean? Like this.
But I mean, if we have to pick one, isn't that?
If we had to pick one, sure. And lobster rolls, I am a big fan of lobster rolls. We do have good seafood here, But as someone who, like, my family is all from the Boston area, so like I am a little bit more used to the types of things that you would be used to in New York, New Jersey, and Philly, in terms of like the food, the delis, the bread, stuff like that. And it is just absent. Like there's just none of it. It's hard to get a good sandwich. It's hard to get. It's definitely. Pizza. Forget.
I was going to say, how's your local pizzerias? Trash, or you want to plug one right now, or a shout out?
We have. So we did a whole contest. We judged every pizza place in. I don't know. We didn't do an exact radius, but it was around
like a game a divorced dad plays on the weekends with his kids. We're going to start a pizza club, guys, because I love you and we do meaningful activities together.
Well, let me tell you, it's not that easy to judge like 6 different types of pizza in one sitting, and every single time it would.
I'm lactose intolerant, so
it would fuck me up, and I just think it was a combination of like every sauce and cheese being just slightly different.
You're so sick,
and it was
I could not eat pizza for like a month. Or more after this. It just made me like.
And you don't want to ruin pizza for yourself.
Of course not.
It's all right. No, but there was a clear winner. Yeah.
There was a clear winner. So there was one place that does make excellent pizza.
What's it called?
Ziza.
How do you spell that?
Zizza. And it's in Milford, New Hampshire.
Oh yeah. The place out on Elm, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. And then there's a place in Peterborough called Poncho's, which is decent.
All right. So from what I understand here, this Ziza place looks like Napolitana style pizza.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're big into the.
It's a 90-second. 90-second oven.
Trend.
Mm-hmm.
The char. You got the char.
Yeah,
okay.
they do the char. Yeah.
Okay.
But they don't mess around. They got the right sauce. They got the right cheese. They got the
Do
right.
they cut it in slices, or do they cut it in an oblong type of 6-slice, non-circular?
Slices.
It's normal slice. Okay.
Yeah, it's
normal
round. It's normal.
Sometimes pizza Napolitana, they get a little wild with it, and that's the thing. It's like, you don't want to go too artisanal with it because it's fucking pizza. I worked for the man who had the number one pizzeria in the United States, Una Pizza Napolitana, Anthony Mangieri, who owns Una Pizza Napolitana in San Francisco and Manhattan. I worked for him in Rumson, New Jersey during a stopover while he was waiting for his pizzeria to open. I worked for a gentleman, Vic Rallo, who was on TV, Eat, Drink, Italy with Vic Rallo. He owned a restaurant. And we had Anthony Mangieri develop our pizza program. I was a bartender and drug addict. So the pizza was really great. It's a 1200 degree wood burning oven, 30 seconds in, 30 out. It's great. It tastes good and all that. But it's, using burrata and buffalo mozzarella and shit. And, it's just this soggy pizza, and you go to slice it in oblong, and you hand it to somebody, and it slops, and every single customer is like, oh, hey, this, and they're like, I don't appreciate that there had to be an explanation to the people, like from the waiters, like, oh, it's supposed to be like this, if it was in Italy like this, well, fuck you, you know what I mean? I don't need some type of disclaimer to find out why my instincts are wrong. It's supposed to be the best. But it's actually not. But you're telling me why I don't know why it's actually the best. Oh, and that char is good. You want it a little burnt like that. You know what I mean? Listen, a margarita has sour mix in it. It is not agave nectar and tequila. Part of the appeal is the drink is the disgusting nature of the weird 80s day glow flavor of sour mix, this bright green, and it's it's the same thing with pizza. It has to have a little bit of an element of trashiness to it. You're outthinking it. You know what I mean? You're outthinking the pizza.
Absolutely. You should not. Yes.
Did that answer your question?
It certainly did.
Great.
It certainly did. Yeah. So it's not. Yeah. We just kind of get by without those things.
Right.
And we enjoy them when we go to other places, and that's about the best we can do.
It's a good summary of life.
Yeah.
So on the topic of local food, though, I wanted to show you, Jared, our headline news for this week. I just wanted to get your reaction at to this being our front page headline. Our paper comes out on Tuesday and Thursday only, just so you know. So they've got a few days to collect the news. And this is the headline for Tuesday. Can you see that?
Yes,
Farm
I can.
raises turkeys for Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's kind of inevitable, right?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's just nice, though. I mean, I like that headline. It's reassuring. It's
it's really happening.
Santa rides at midnight.
The world can continue to turn. The farms are churning out the turkeys.
Someone's taking care of it.
Yeah.
So you want to know an interesting fact about turkeys around here?
Wow.
I imagine, I mean, certainly not in Atlantic City, but do you ever see turkeys running around?
Yeah, my father lives on a golf course, and there's a real nuisance of wild turkeys. There was a population of 2,200 of them 10 years ago, and now there's 22,000, and they have no natural predators, and they're fearless in packs. They chase old ladies around. They're 40-pound turkeys.
Yeah, they're big.
They're really nuts. My dad hits them with the golf club.
They get aggressive on golf courses. Yeah,
it's where he goes at them. He's like, hack them.
Yeah.
Jeez,
so I don't know if it's the same incident that's at fault in New Jersey. It might be, but it might be separate. But, turkeys were native up here, right? And they wiped them out long time ago. 100 years ago, they were gone, And when I was growing up, never, ever saw a turkey. But it turns out they know, there's people with names, right? In Western Massachusetts who decided to reintroduce the wild turkey to New England and see if it would work. They got turkeys from like the Carolinas and they brought them up there and they just started breeding them and then let them go. And now they're everywhere. And this was like, I don't know, like the 80s or 90s. Like this was not a long time ago. Like this just happened. And yeah, you're right. No natural predators here either. Nothing eats them. They just walk around breeding, and, just sort of waddling around. We hunt them but it's usually just 2 months a year. There's like a spring season and a fall season for shooting turkeys.
What are you drinking there, Chris? Is that Sauvignon Blanc?
This is Pinot Grigio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just curious. Just looking at your office room there.
Yep.
Little screw top. I love it. They don't have cork left in the world. There's just not enough cork left. Diminishing supply.
And there's no point with white wine anyway, so they don't usually bother anymore.
There's no point. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah.
The headline's great though. I love that headline, and I approve. I mean, I like it. We impeached Krasner in Philly yesterday, the DA, and you guys. It's just not so much turmoil. It's good stuff. Like we're like radically reevaluating whether Philadelphia is going to be fall of the darkness, and what are we going to do? And murder, and it's like turkey, and that's better. It's better.
No, it is. Yeah, it's quite true.
You have a lighter? Yeah.
What did you, so speaking of our more tranquil system, you actually did some research before this episode and, you had you were looking at a particular race, a political New Hampshire race.
Yeah.
For executive council. Which one was that?
It was the auctioneer guy who lost. It was really bothering me. His name was James. What the hell? Oh no, Harold French.
Harold French. Yeah.
Yeah, it was intriguing to me that he lost because I figured as an auctioneer he'd have a natural advantage over the competition just in in speaking ability. But I didn't see enough of it. I just read the headlines. You read the Keene Sentinel. You got to take. What Jack Rooney from the Sentinel staff says as gospel.
You do have to. Yes. And, excuse me, that's the thing around here, though. And this may play into it as well, is that this is true of pretty much all of our races, except for sometimes our like Senate races, sometimes our governor's races. But for most of these other ones, and executive council races are usually like the least sexy of all, right? But
what is an executive council? That's not something that normal places have.
No, nobody has an executive council. So executive council is like a holdover from like the 1600s, right? And it is, so in our state, we have a very bizarre system of government, really, where we have our normal like bicameral legislature with the House of Representatives and a Senate, right? But the House of Representatives has 400 people in it. And so like I think it's like 3,000 people or something get a representative in the New Hampshire Congress.
That's a lot, right?
3,000 is a small number of people to representatives. Like, I mean, I'm sure in the New Jersey.
No, I mean the number of representatives. Is that a large number of representatives?
It is. It's like the fourth biggest English-speaking legislature in the world.
Okay. I wasn't positive, but it seemed like it was.
No, it's huge. And then the Senate has like 35, right? And that's our legislative branch. But our executive branch is not just the governor. It's the governor and the executive council. And so the governor is mostly the executive, but the executive council acts as a check on him in certain cases. Like
Caligula and his boys.
Kinda. Sometimes it's a split party thing. You know what I mean? Where one party controls the council and another party.
So they never get anything done.
Well, so usually they cooperate in the end because it's limited things. Like the executive council is mostly limited to like veto power. So like they have to approve of like judges, like judicial appointments they have to sign off on. I think the budget, perhaps, or it may even not be the budget itself, but it might be the way the governor intends to execute the spending of the budget. They have like some say over. But it's a very unique and anachronistic position that most people in New Hampshire don't even understand. So that's why those races are very little covered. But to be clear, none of these races get a lot of airtime. Because there's no New Hampshire media market. There's a very small ABC affiliate in Manchester, but they don't do their own programming outside of like the basic news, right? So everything else is in the Boston market. So there's almost no televised. There's some, but almost no televised debates. Almost no. It's hard to find somebody's speech, and in fact, these candidates in some cases will have only 1 or 0 in-person debates either. So in order to hear the auctioneer, you probably had to go in person to see the auction.
It didn't even help him. It's really sad that I get it. You've really illustrated it for me. I'm going to go ahead and say it this time. I just might as well say I have never cast a vote or been registered to vote in an election.
We voted have a very one time position on that here at Go Monadnock.
I voted for the McRib sandwich to make its return to McDonald's, and it did. And I was successful.
Like that? I love McDonald's, and I don't like the McRib.
I've never had it. I'm an agent of chaos. I wanted that. I've never,
reason to vote for McRib to come back.
Exactly, because who knows what it'll do to the people? I wanted to see what it'll do. I just, it's just tough. It's just tough. You want, I'd like to see the auctioneer speak. That's all.
Yeah, and to be clear, as we discovered, because this Jared brought this to us before the show, and I had to look it up because I'm like, I remember because he was like, he was beaten by Cindy Warmington, and I'm like, oh yeah, that name was on our ballot, and so I looked it up, and as I was able to comfort Jared with the fact that the auctioneer is in fact still in office because he is a sitting New Hampshire state senator anyway, and he did not lose his seat, so he's still. He's still able to win, just not that particular seat.
Yeah, well, one of your guys on the executive council, Councilor David Wheeler, Republican, he was named Granite State Taxpayers #1 friend of the taxpayer in 96 and 97. So it seems like there was support. You do have some great civil servants in the 90s at least. What are they up to now? Who knows? Nobody listens to them debate, right? He's also a lifetime member of the Purgatory Falls Fish and Game Club in Mount Vernon. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that place, but it sounds ominous to me. Purgatory Falls?
I've been to Purgatory Falls. It's beautiful. That's the place you might get your car stolen, though, if you park at the parking lot there, or at least broken.
Yeah, and I'm guessing just based on the name, because this is a thing that exists around here, is that it is a private game preserve, which those places are usually quite exclusive and quite shady seeming, I don't mean to.
Yeah, I don't have a big hunting, game around here. That's not a big thing here.
Yeah, so hunting in general is huge, but these gaming preserves, they often bring in exotic animals. So there's a really famous or infamous one in this bizarre town called Croydon. Croydon is kind of near where J.D. Salinger used to hide out for all of his years, right? And this place has been around since the 100 years or so, I think, because I'm pretty sure there was an incident. There's a big hurricane in New Hampshire, 38, and the fence came down. And I want to say there's still to this day in that area some boars that descended from boars that escaped when the wall came down. Or maybe it even happened more recently than that. But in any case, that place is ultra exclusive. It's literally some insane amount, tens of thousands of dollars per year to be a member. And you have to go through a process. And again, I don't want to imply or slander anyone by saying this, but the level of secrecy that exists with these places, it's very Epstein's Island you know what I mean? It's those. It is. It's those kind of people and those kind of places where it's the
real power players come together to shoot giraffe.
Yeah, and do whatever kind of discussions or other activities that they do.
And why should we begrudge them from that? People are always like, "Oh, break that up." Well, where do you want them to meet? What do you want them to do? That's what they need.
I mean, well, Bohemian Grove itself, that doesn't necessarily bother me. I mean, like, I would, if I was one of those people, I definitely would do that.
Sure, I'd want to hobnob with the people like me because I worked hard. It's time for me to exert control over the populace. Let's see what the guys are doing.
Well, and the good thing about Bohemian Grove is that's like the entry point for accepted artists and musicians into that ruling coterie. You know what I mean? And like, we want some of them in there, right?
Well, that was the genesis of it, is that it was supposed to be some type of like alternate art scene, and then it became popular to the point where the local dignitary politician types wanted in, and they got invited to it until the point where they took it over and the artists are no longer part of it, and it became this kind of thing.
I think artists very much are, because like, you can know, like, I mean, like, see, like, at least I think a couple of the members of the Grateful Dead, like a lot of those musician types are still in there. There's some painters and stuff. I do think that you're right that the dignitaries run it now.
Let's just say, though, if Bobby does in fact go to the Bohemian Grove, I am willing to disown him, and I have never really considered him an important member of the Dead.
I don't think it's Bobby. I think it's Mickey who's in the Bohemian Grove.
I'm always willing to throw Bobby at the wall. Just let it be said. I think he's a rock star, He sings a nice El Paso.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Bobby, Bobby, he's an interesting man.
He's a clown. But let me just say, about 11 minutes ago, you were talking about political ads, and you did say the Boston market, and my brain has been seizing on that ever since, because we were talking about food, and I do enjoy Boston Market as a fast food place, and I don't eat any fast food, but Boston Market is legitimate. And the interesting thing about Boston Market is that I don't really see any of them around, and I've never known, even when I first saw one as a kid, I was like, what does this have to do with Boston? Like, it's not like people in Boston don't eat a lot of chicken. Like, I mean, I don't know, it's weird. But yes, it seems like a very nice establishment that I just don't encounter it very often. Well, it was previously Boston Chicken, and then they rebranded it Boston Market.
Yes. Yeah, actually, in fact, I remember as a kid being disappointed in Boston Chicken because I wanted it to be fried, and it's like roasted. It's just
rotisserie chicken. You're like, what is this? It's like,
I wanted like KFC is what I was after.
Yeah, I mean, I've really, I've taken things away from important subject matter. I apologize.
I don't know what the important subject matter is.
Well, we're always here.
We're pretty much at time, anyways. I mean, I think we've covered all the important events of our day. We didn't get into Donald Trump or Twitter, but that's okay. There's been actually several episodes now where we've been like, we're going to talk about Twitter, and we never do, as other things overtake it. Maybe that's okay.
And I'm not on Twitter, so I don't vote. I don't have Twitter.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, Palmucci, our last guest host, he doesn't vote either.
And he's from Jersey?
And he's from Jersey.
That's probably why he doesn't vote. He's probably a felon.
I don't think Palmucci is a felon, actually, but he doesn't, I mean, in New Jersey, New Jersey is, so I actually like New Jersey politics in a lot of ways. New Jersey politics gives you a lot less reason to vote, though, because the politics, it sort of takes care of itself without the voters. You know what I mean? Like they've got it figured out. But New Jersey politics is very aggressive. Even at the small town level. Do you know the town of Red Bank?
Yes, I bartended at a restaurant called Pazzo on 44 West Front Street in Red Bank. Of course.
Oh, no shit. All right, I'm going to tell my buddy Pat that. So Pat is a friend of mine who's actually he's been on the school board.
Shout out to Lenny and Lenny Jr. at Pazzo. What's up, fellas? Make that pizza.
Pazzo, make the pizza.
Pazzo.
Love it. But so I looked up Red Bank one day though, right? Because I wanted to see the town. So Red Bank is like the same size as Peterborough in terms of population. It's like 6,000 people, right? But I also
a lot smaller. The area is probably like 4 square miles.
Oh no, I'm sure. Yeah, no, right, exactly. It's definitely more condensed.
It is
right?
a city.
Same number of people though, and So I haven't read it in a long time, but I'm on the daily email list for the Red Bank Green, which is their paper or whatever. And so I see the stuff that goes on there, but I also hear from my buddy Pat the tales of like the different town government in this town of 6,000, like the town government thing. And it's great. I mean, it's like people are doing they're like maneuvering and they're like doing moves on their opponents and like all this shit. And like, I love that. And we don't do that here at all, and it's much less fun because of it. I don't think he'll mind me saying this, like even on his school board, there's jockeying and there's factions and there's like, politics should be like this. I enjoy it. And there's also that criminal element in New Jersey politics too, where like anybody could be indicted, like pretty much at any time. You never really know.
Yeah, Atlantic City's had 10 mayors in the last 12 years, and every single one of them's done time after they've served, or they've had their term interrupted by serving time.
Being the mayor of Providence, like you're going to jail, or the governor of Illinois, like they just go to jail after they're done, and it's but it shows a willingness to take initiative, I think, in most cases that you just
because in boxing, if you're not the top tier fighter, you cash out against the champ. You build up that 30-0 bullshit record fighting cab drivers, and then you fight Canelo and you get the $8 million to get fucking mollywopped. That's what the mayor situation is. You cashed your shit out there. You cashed it, and you know that fish is jail. But that fish, hopefully there's enough to eat when you get out.
That's the game. Yeah, that's the game.
You go for the whale. Sometimes you don't get it, and sometimes, you don't.
Yeah. We say around here, one of the things that we're trying to do with our, political coverage that we do and the debates and everything is that, we're trying to foster this like civic culture around here. And, we do mean that in a very wholesome way and all that stuff. However, I do also mean it in another way. What's that?
I'm suspicious of your intentions, but
yeah, I mean, I'm admitting to it though. There's another side to it though, which is to say that I think with more civic engagement and more civic dynamism, definitely comes a harder edge sometimes, and I'm all right with that. I advocate for that. I think politics are better when it's like that.
I mean, great leap forward. A lot of people had to die. It happens.
There's arguments to be made. It's not my favorite one, but
would you eat the heart of your enemies if it was like the time and place?
Most people probably would if that's what you did.
Because if you're on a tuna boat, you do it.
On a tuna boat?
Yeah, you eat the heart of the first tuna of the season.
Oh, no shit! I didn't know that was the custom.
I mean, you should ask some of your Boston compatriots, who I'm sure there's a lot of
there's a lot of tuna fishermen who live in Boston,
long at sea.
Yeah. Yes, a lot of captains. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I did want to mention before we close out the episode that part of the reason that I brought this hat down here is because there was a little bit of a controversy around Halloween when I was photographed on Halloween night after denouncing Halloween costumes wearing this hat
by yourself, I should add.
It was a selfie. Yes, that's true. It wasn't a paparazzi or anything. I did out myself. Yeah, I did. And I wondered if I would get called out on it. And of course I was right away. But then I pointed out though that I didn't buy the hat for Halloween. I just wore it. I had it already.
Was it after midnight?
It wasn't after midnight.
Okay. Still Halloween.
It was still Halloween. No, we were trick-or-treating with children, but other people chimed in my defense and they're like, well, if Chris wears the hat on a regular basis and that can be demonstrated, then he was not being hypocritical on Halloween night. So, here I am on video in my home on an ordinary November Thursday being the sea captain, just to prove a point.
It does have insignia, and I know you're leaving here. We'll leave. In parts at least. It's okay. It's like the truck driver It's like the truck driver joke, right? I mean, You're not a captain, but you're wearing a captain's hat. You could drive a truck a couple times. Doesn't make you a truck driver. You fuck one sheep, though, right?
You're a sheep fucker.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's a great note, I think, to close this episode out on.
Good advice.
Might be the title of the episode.
I was just going to say that might even be the episode title. But special thanks to our producer, Chad Patterson, who does.
I didn't even know that you had a producer.
Yeah, he's a great fellow. He's a former coworker of mine who takes our audio files at the end of each episode and balances them and spruces them up and gives us 2 files, one that we can put for the video version and one that we can put out for the podcast listeners out there.
Thanks, Chad. It's jradke85@gmail. If you need any help transcribing any of my language, if you want to put up subtitles for those who don't speak the way I do,
he will appreciate that. He will appreciate that. He does a great job. He's got his own little production and audio consulting firm called Studio117.net. Last episode, I called it .com again. I was just listening to it today. Didn't mean to do that. That won't get you there. Want Studio117.net for all your sound needs. Check out Down by 10, his dad rock cover band, traveling all around New England. Very successful after just 1 year. They're already booked out. I think they have at least one gig every month in 2023 already. And they're available for rental as well, for any event that you want to do. I was
come down to Atlantic City. I will make sure I get them taken care of if they ever want to hit the New Jersey tour, the Bon Jovi years, the slippery when wet era.
I will tell them that. I will pass that along, because that might be a thing where there could be a justification for a little bit of a drive down to the tri-state area.
When it comes to music, I've been told I'm a bit of a Svengali, kind of a Phil Spector type. That's not complimentary.
That's okay. Well, it depends on who you ask, I guess. But I will make sure that Chad actually listens to the end of this episode so that he hears all of this and is aware.
I'm available. I will be working for the cannabis czar of Atlantic City soon. So we'll talk about that later. I don't want to get into it.
Great. We'll have you back on again, because there's clearly a lot more to talk about. But the one thing I wanted to mention is last episode, or it was actually 2 episodes ago, I published a new merchandise link for Down by 10 over at Redbubble. Well, Redbubble subsequently decided that Chad had somehow violated someone's copyright. He used like a stock clip art or something I think he used Canva or something to design his thing. And they were like, this isn't original art. Like, get the fuck out. And they locked his account. So the Down by 10 merch store got locked. And he's moving over to Zazzle, though, and he thinks that will work out. I'm waiting to see how he does, because by the time this episode comes out, we will be just prior to announcing our special holiday T-shirt sale. We are going to have a number, we're following Chad's lead. So whatever vendor works out for Down by 10 is going to work out for Go Monadnock. And we've got a number of Peterborough-themed T-shirt designs that will absolutely be the hottest designs for 2023. We're offering them out here for a fundraiser for us, but also as a service for all of you to get in on this trend, because you know what? We are going to be those people who discontinues these designs after like 6 months or so.
They're going to be limited. They're going to be like Pogs.
People who have these shirts are going to be the only people who have these shirts. And so that's coming.
I'm not a member. I mean, I not to be presumptuous, but as like an extended member here of the Monadnock Underground backdooring its way, I really feel like I'm excited for that, and I'd like to own one of those shirts. And
we will send you a shirt.
I'm gonna
absolutely
boy size awkward, please. I wear.
All right, we'll make sure that Zazzle accommodates that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, actually, before we fully sign off, though, what are you guys doing for Thanksgiving? This is supposed to be a Thanksgiving special. I think we've given everyone in the audience a lot to be thankful for. So that's how it's Thanksgiving themed. But
I feel grateful.
What are you doing next Thursday,
Zoe?
I will be most likely going to the famous and fabulous Piccadilly Cafeteria in Monroe, Louisiana, because I will be with my brother and my father, getting ready to move him up to New Hampshire. And he loves the Piccadilly Cafeteria. It's where you can... I was trying to explain what this is to somebody. Like, this is not a Yankee thing at all.
No.
It's like someone was like, is it like a Golden Corral? It's like, no, it's not a buffet. It's like, it's literally a cafeteria where you like take your tray and you like point it, you know, that one, that Jello, and like you load your tray up and then they like add it up at the end. And
is there a lot of things?
It's been a really long time since I've been there, I'll be honest. So I don't really know what to expect, but that's where he wants to have Thanksgiving dinner.
I'm just trying to like picture like the room, right? Like, is it like just like a 12-foot section of things you can pick from, or is there like a lot of things?
No, it's not like there's not as many choices as a buffet, right? It's
okay, I see.
Maybe more like a 20 foot, you know, 15.
Okay. That gives me
15 feet of choices, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
I'm confused but intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it like Southern food?
Well, they will certainly be serving like Thanksgiving food on Thanksgiving.
I see.
We went last time I was in a Piccadilly cafeteria. I believe I was 12 or 13 years old, having Thanksgiving dinner with my father, because that was his holiday at that time. After that, we switched to going to like Chinese restaurants in Atlanta every year. But I remember this last Piccadilly excursion. It's like, you know, you can choose like a little plate of turkey and gravy. You can choose like a mac and cheese casserole. You can choose like a roll, some Jello.
Nice.
Jello is like, I feel like there's always Jello at a Piccadilly.
There's always Jello.
Yeah.
Send us pictures.
I certainly will.
Yeah, we need to document this.
What about you, Chris? What's your Thanksgiving plans?
We are hosting here, actually.
That's lovely.
Both sides of the family, which, I kind of like because, well, so first of all, I'm not a big turkey fan.
What's your input in the cooking? You have any role?
I'm going to cook. I'm going to do the turkey. So I don't love turkey, but I have a smoker now. And so I'm going to smoke this fucking turkey, and which I did learn is bold. Not as fast as smoking a brisket or any of the other things we've smoked so far. It's actually like 30 minutes a pound, and we have a decent sized turkey. So like I'm going to get up at like 2:30 in the morning or I'll still be up. Either one.
Really risky endeavor. You really want to make sure. Yeah, they don't want to be waiting on you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to take like 10 hours or so to cook this thing. So I'm going to have to get up. And now most of it, like I'll set the coals at that time, and then I can sleep for like 2 or 3 hours, but I'm going to have to get up and like reset the coals because the turkey needs to be at a higher temperature too. So it's a bit more of a pain in the ass. However, as I was starting to say, I don't like turkey very much. And I think that a good brined smoked turkey will make the best of what I don't like, you know? And I'm interested to try it. So I'm excited about that. So that's my role is I'm the man with the smoker. And I do I like hosting. I mean, as Zoe knows, I like hosting in general. So the fact that I don't have to drive anywhere on Thanksgiving and that people are coming to me and this is a good house to host at, I'm pretty pleased with. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that sounds like a really nice, solid Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it should be pretty good.
That's lovely. Personally, I have no love lost for Thanksgiving food.
It's not my favorite food at all.
My mother's in Florida. My father's antisocial. I'm going to see my daughter on Sunday. She's got a school play. We're going to take her to the famed Texas Roadhouse for dinner.
Nice.
But I don't think I'm going to go up there for Thanksgiving. Me and Rachel are probably going to choose a restaurant in Atlantic City and have a little meal completely divorced from Thanksgiving.
That sounds nice.
Probably going to have pizza. No, I don't know what I'm going to have. Maybe. What are we going to do for Thanksgiving, sweetheart?
Oh, I don't know. We haven't
talked about it, she says. But we're going to pick a nice restaurant and have a nice...
We used to do like the dim sum, like real Chinese in Atlanta for a bunch of years. That was always a fun thing.
Well,
I've actually never done real dim sum before. I'd be interested to try it.
Well, the dim sum spot around here doesn't have soup dumplings, so we're really distraught because we had a great soup dumpling spot in Philly, and they just don't have it here. And Rachel made her own recently. You got to put the gelatin substance. It's weird. It's touchy, you know. It's a lot.
It's a thing that you want made for you, right?
Yeah, my dumplings made for me. It's true. Yeah, that's it for Thanksgiving is insignificant for me on the day, but I appreciate you asking, and I'm grateful regardless. I'm grateful to be here.
I'm with you. I've always kind of wondered why we have this big harvest feast meal and but we eat this food that is actually worse than the food that I normally eat. You know, the good thing though is see, I'm Italian though, and so we have the same Italian food at every holiday in addition to whatever the holiday food is.
Yeah.
So if it's Easter and there's ham and there's sausages and meatballs and raviolis, and on Thanksgiving there's turkey and there's stuffing and there's raviolis and sausage and meatballs, these things are at every holiday. And so that's usually what I primarily eat.
It's a good fail safe is you get the pasta backup. That's great.
Yeah, it's great. There's always a pasta backup. That's been true my entire life. No matter what holiday it is, there's always that pasta backup. And the other thing that I usually do that I haven't actually, I have to logistically figure out how to get all the stuff, but I make a really, really nice antipasto platter every Thanksgiving with good capicola and, gabagool in New Jersey language,
Right.
And prosciutto and all kinds of olives and cheeses and all that stuff. It's a very nice platter. So I will almost certainly be doing that also.
I'd like to see it. So please send me a picture.
I will send pictures. I do. I make it very pretty, and I don't let anybody touch it until I take my pictures, and then it's like, all right, go ahead.
All right, I look forward to it.
Yep,
it's great. I got to try it at the Secret 2020 Thanksgiving.
That's right. What did we do for that? Did we meet up?
Secretly came to my house.
Was it for Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. Yeah, because everyone canceled Thanksgiving, right? None of the relatives would hang out or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone didn't want to do it.
And isn't that crazy that even in late 2020 we had to sneak around, Pretty crappy. Pretty crappy. But I want to say, I said this on Facebook the other day, and it's 100% right. And I said, because I shared a memory from that day where I was like, fuck all you people being like, I'll see you next year so that we can all live, the stuff. I was going to say,
I'm seeing people's memories pop up and shit. And you go through old people. They're like, I love seeing the stuff from 2 years ago. Like, please leave hand sanitizer in your mailbox. The postal worker is they're the most vulnerable. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
letter carrier. I don't need to give myself.
Guess what, guys? You canceled Thanksgiving for no reason, and we know that now. Okay, and I said it in 2020.
The letter carriers now they think we have handouts for them.
Yeah, it's bullshit. But yes, I'm glad we did get together for that. And Zoe will be coming back from her trip the day after Thanksgiving. I will have leftover antipasto supplies. So it's entirely possible that if you enjoyed it in 2020, you might be able to have it again in 2022.
Wow, I vicariously enjoy your New Hampshire camaraderie. And it is very nice. You guys have a lovely little scene.
We do.
Very grateful that you guys are my designated publishers of my work. I appreciate you guys.
Standing open door,
Oh man, I got to get up there. The thing is, our car was stolen.
We are both of us are fantastic hosts. You come up here and we will show you a good time.
Rachel and I would be honored to come up there sometime. Maybe she get some of her book underway more. You know what I mean?
Seriously. Yeah. Well, honestly, if she gets that book underway and finishes it and we end up publishing it, you guys are definitely coming up here.
Well, that's a given.
That's a given.
It's going to be really good. I really hate that it's better than what I'm, it's.
Well, I like that laughter in the background. Let it motivate you though, because I do think that you could stretch out, what you do and add some structured dialogue.
Do something dramatic besides the writing, I'd have to Van Gogh a body part and you'd have to be interested in he wrote something? That must be weird. This has to be an act, of desperation. I don't know. if I get my car back, it's going to be a harrowing experience, and it's going to be on the news. And in that case, I'm just giving you permission now to like back publish everything that I've done and like collect it and exploit. You know what I mean? Like there's that rule that like you can't profit from, you know, if you've done bad things or whatever. The John Wayne Gacy rule.
We'll do it for you.
You can be my estate, so to speak.
Yep. Yes, exactly. We'll get the money to where it needs to go.
I don't care where it goes. It's about the fame and the ego because I need people to visit me in jail.
Take care of that for you. Yeah, we will do that. Yeah.
Become real manipulative when you're lonely in jail and you're a serial killer. No one's talking.
Like New Jersey man or Atlantic City man takes Subaru back at crossbow point. You know,
and that wouldn't be a serial killing. You know, like it would be if I continued it and took back all Subarus.
You became a vigilante, ridding the streets of all car thieves, judge, jury, and executioner with a crossbow.
Yeah, I mean, the man took repo too far.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jared.
Yeah. Hopefully, we meet you not visiting you in jail. Hopefully,
yes, we're gonna stay. You're gonna stay out of jail. You're gonna keep on keeping on.
Yeah. I'm glad to know that you would, though, if necessary.
We would.
Yeah. Absolutely we would. But thanks so much for joining us. We definitely need to have you again. This has been a very great time. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners as you go forth out into the world and whatever your Thanksgiving and non-Thanksgiving plans might be. Until we meet again in this sacred space lounge, please remember to take good advice. We'll see you next time.
Happy Thanksgiving.